Yo, what's good, everyone? It's Max here. Back with another video, and today's topic is it's going to be on a problem I'm currently fucking facing right now. I'm kind of going through a bit of a rough patch in my trading, and I'm going to talk about why I'm going through this rough patch, how I'm going to overcome this rough patch, and if you per se are watching this video right now, and maybe you've had a recent fuck up in your trading, maybe you recently went on tilt, maybe you recently blew an account, right? Maybe you've just been slowly bleeding out your account with bad trades, right? Maybe you know how to take these good trades, but the bad ones are what's keeping you from being profitable, right? Keeping you in that break even stage. This video right here is going to help you out. I'm going to share my past experience, is going to share exactly what I'm going through right now, and then a plan of action and how I plan to overcome these challenges, how I plan to never let these challenges come back again, because that's a big fucking issue I have dealt with. I know a lot of people have dealt with this issue, and it's that you have a challenge that you're attempting to overcome. You overcome that challenge for a set period of time, then it creeps back in. You relapse on that challenge. You relapse on that problem. For me, that is taking trades that align completely with my model, not FOMOing into trades when we are about to present the model and we get an early signature of price that shows we are going to go towards our bias, right? But it's staying patient, waiting for the model to 100% truly present itself, because that's exactly what gives you an edge. So I'll go into a detail. This morning, I I fucked up pretty bad. I entered a trade early. I FOMO'd into the trade, right? We tapped my point of interest, which was a 50-minute fair value gap. We had nice draws above. We had a small displacement towards the upside. However, in the moment, right? In the moment, I knew the trade was lower probability because of the negative confluences that were against me. However, I still decided to pull that trigger, and I still decided to buy into the trade. And guess what? The trade fucking lost. Of course it did, because that's how it always happens whenever you take a trade that's outside your model, right? Um, so I'll kind of go through my thought process of when I pulled the trigger on the trade, right? And it's 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 easy to look at just one trading day and try to build a conclusion off it, but in true hindsight, right? The past 2 weeks, I haven't taken a single fucking trade. I was extremely disciplined in my approach, and I was very consistent in my bias and my thought process on the markets. Now, December for price action for trading is inherently known to have bad conditions. So I purposefully went into this month knowing I was going to take less trades, right? Now, me being disciplined on the charts every day, me being consistent as fuck on the charts every single day for 2 weeks in a row, right, caused me to not enter trades that I would have lost, caused me to be super disciplined with my approach and only take trades that align perfectly with my model. Now, what that also caused was a lack in correlation, because I was so disciplined on the charts. I was so consistent in my approach, but guess what? I wasn't making any money. Okay. And my brain, right, wanted to reward itself for the fact that I was so disciplined in the past 2 weeks that when I entered into the charts today, I just had to take a trade. I had to have that feeling of being rewarded for my actions, right? I went 2 weeks without taking a single fucking trade, disciplined as fuck. Today comes around, right? I kind of felt this coming. The past two trading days, I felt myself itching to take a trade. However, I still stayed strong in my approach and didn't take that trade. Then today comes around, right? I've been sick for the past week. I've had this cold, right? I've been semi lacking in my routines. I'm still showing up to the gym, but I'm not going above and beyond in my tasks. I haven't been reading. I've been, staying off of social media, but I've been watching a bit of YouTube. It's small micro fractures that led to one big fracture, one big blow up moment, one big tilt moment in my trading. And I'm sure many people watching can relate to this. So there's a couple things that lined up. It was a fact that I was disciplined for 2 weeks in a fucking row, right? Disciplined as fuck. Probably the most disciplined on the chart I've been my entire life. And guess what? I still didn't get fucking paid for it. Okay? Also the fact that outside of the market, right? even though I was still doing my day to day activities, I wasn't fully mentally there. I had my illness. I um, was watching a bit more YouTube than I should have. Right? These small details play a big role when it comes to trading because you, in order to really be that successful trader who trades with fucking size, you have to be dialed in 24/7 mentally. And if you have any holes in your game mentally, it's going to cause you to slip up. And the occasional slip up, even if it's once a month, really will impact your performance. My biggest month, $22,000. I had two major slip ups that month. I quite literally fumbled a $35,000 month. Those two slip ups during the month, right, cost me like how much money is $13,000 of that 25,000 of that I made 25,000, but those two slip ups cost me 13,000, which subtracted from the 35,000 month I could have had if I didn't have those two major slip ups. Today, I had a major slip up in my trading. I entered early, it got stopped out, right? And at this point, I have been dealing with like I've just been trying to succeed in trading. I've been trying really hard to, right? The past 2 weeks I was trying to be disciplined, trying to be consistent. And I was, and that was becoming my identity, the disciplined trader. And then this day comes along with the small micro fractures outside of the chart, with the fact that I felt like I wanted to get paid for my performance, which I hadn't been. This day comes around and it set me back in the loop. It took me one step back. It was three steps forward, one step back. And looking back at what occurred today, I can sit here and say I regret my decisions, which of course, right, I'm not happy in my decision making, but at the same time, this needed to happen for me to make this video today, for me to reflect on my journey, for me to potentially help someone out who's going through the same situation as me, for me to potentially change someone else's life, right? Who's watching this video right now. I had to go through this trauma today. I had to go through this challenge today in order to grow, and therefore I wouldn't take that back even though it financially impacted me severely, right? I wouldn't take that back because I need the growth. I need to become stronger. And becoming stronger comes from pain. And if I have to endure pain to become stronger, even if it takes me longer, even if I have to go through a lot, that's what it's going to be because God has a plan for me. And if I was truly 100% dialed in my approach, I would be fucking printing 100K a month. Simple. And I know I would because I have the mind, I have the technical aspect to do so. But what lacks is my psychological ability to truly, truly harness my technical edge. Right? I have my edge, and I deviate from the edge because of my psychology. And every single time, deviation from the edge due to psychology leads to a loss. Whether that loss is today, whether that loss is tomorrow, in the long term, it will lead to a loss. You might deviate from your edge and catch a win, but if you continue to do so over a large sample size, you will lose money. And these are all thoughts that I'm having today. These are all thoughts which I wish I could say were new. I wish I could say this is the first time that I'm having these thoughts, but this is not the first time I'm having these thoughts. These thoughts are constant. These thoughts are constant every time I succumb to my emotions, every time I pull that trigger when I know I'm not supposed to. So, this video is a bit of a rant, just me coming out today to talk about kind of what I'm dealing with. I'm sure many can relate. Now, let's get into the plan of action of how my viewers and how myself is going to get to the next level to truly overcome these hurdles, truly overcome these challenges. The first step is staying conscious of your goals, staying conscious of what you need to do on a daily basis, staying conscious of what will happen if you break your rules. Therefore, a punishment is needed. And a punishment is needed to be reviewed before going into the markets every single day. So the punishment I have chosen for myself, now it's officially December 18th, the punishment I have chosen for myself is, once again, if I am, and now I've said this in the past, but it's fucking real now, boys. If I am to break my rules at all in the slightest bit, And trust me, I know what the fuck it means to break my rules. If I am to break my rules in the slightest bit, I must shave my head. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my hair. I love my hair, right? I love getting girls, but if I shave my head, there's going to be a decrease in my ability to get girls. There's going to be a decrease in the way I like to view myself in the mirror. And there's going to be a decrease in quality of life, which is going to last many months if I am to break my rules once. Because truly, if I am to break my rules once, it means there's a, what do you call it, like a boulder effect, right? That boulder's at the top of the hill. If you are to remove one rock from it, it starts to, start to fall more down the hill. You move another rock, another rock, another rock, boom, the whole boulder comes down, breaks everything, destroys the fucking town. That's kind of how it felt today. Slowly, those rocks were deteriorating, even though I was disciplined, even though those rocks were holding up the boulder, because my mind was slowly becoming impacted from the wear and tear of my trading. Those rocks slowly deteriorated, and today, the motherfucking boulder fell. Okay? Now, right, the boulder took down the town, okay? Maybe a couple people in the town got killed, right? But at the same time, it's over. What's to do next? Rebuild the town. Now, we're not just going to rebuild the town. We're going to rebuild the town better. We're going to have more reinforcements. We're going to have metal walls where potentially boulders could fall. We're going to build the town better. We're going to build the town so that the outcome that occurred previously does not happen again. And the way I rebuild my town, the way I put these walls up, is with a punishment for my actions. And that punishment is shaving my head. Now, if you're watching this video today and you are going through a similar situation to me, as you have your technical attributes, you have your edge, you know exactly what you need to do, but the psychological factors are holding you back. The FOMO, the revenge trading, the over leveraging, not pulling the trigger too early on your setup, not being patient, waiting for your edge to present itself, right? You need a punishment for if you are to break your rules, which is so severe that you do not want to break your rules at all. That punishment for me is that I will shave my head, and that punishment is extremely severe. And even saying this now, right, I don't want to commit to this because there's a thought in the back of my head that I will break my rules again. That's fine. That's completely fine, because these thoughts of fear are normal in times of change. And this right here is a big time of change. This right here is a big commitment I'm putting on to myself. And this right here is something that's going to stop me from breaking my rules. And you need to determine what that is for yourself. So, hope everyone enjoyed today's video. The premise is to choose a punishment to ensure that you will not break your rules again. Sorry for the lack of energy. I've been sick for the past week. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but I still felt the need to create today's video. And whether or not this video gets any views, whether or not people decide to watch this or not, I'm sure the select few who have made it to the end would be impacted by today's video. And I hope everyone has a good one.